border.
Are you?
Instead, they threaten a lawsuit.
Are you satisfied that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency is actively going after companies who knowingly hire illegals?
That's interesting because yes, we've seen a lot of raids taking place and a lot of people protesting the raids, such as the one that took place at the Pork Hill facility, I think, in Nebraska. There are states that have laws that require. There are states that have laws that say that you cannot be an employer and hire somebody who's there illegally, and that's where the issue comes in as to whether or not Arizona can have a law that says if you come into this country illegally, you're going to be treated like a criminal. The big problem, Ken, has always been enforcement at the border, and then what we see oftentimes is immigration will raid a facility, and the workers will simply walk out and then go right across the street and be hired, because all an employer needs is something to facially show that a person is not illegal. And so that's why there's a need to make the E-Verify system work even better, and then to use it so that employers have a way of knowing whether or not somebody working there is illegal.
We're speaking with Congressman Don Manzullo. Our phone number, by the way, 815-874-8255, should you take the opportunity to ask the Congressman a question. Tom, you're on NTA with Congressman Manzullo. Hi, Tom.
Hi. Congressman, Ken, thanks for letting me ask a question. Congressman, we're not hearing something in the national news, and that's the fact that both the police union and the Arizona State Police Officers Coordinated Union, that's about 13,000 peace officers, they were instrumental in having the Arizona bill crafted. We're not hearing that from any of those cable commentators. And second of all, have you ever known a U.S. president to refuse the order for the National Guard when begged and asked for and presented facts by a governor?
Well, I don't know about the second question, but I have a lot of problems with the criticism that's been aimed at Arizona. And I read the law, and by the way, what is absolutely astounding and showed the extent of the incompetence within the administration is Eric Holder, who is the Attorney General of the United States, and Janet Napolitano, who's the head of Homeland Security. Neither one of those people have read a simple 10-page bill. They sit there and criticize the bill, and they haven't read the thing. And I read the bill. It took me twice to make sure I picked up everything I needed in it. And sure, I got the trained eyes of an attorney, but you would think before an attorney general opens his mouth about the bill being offensive, he ought at least take the time to read the thing. So they know nothing about the language of the bill. The language is very clear. It says that if you are picked up if you're the subject of a legal stop, that means that there had to be some so-called non-immigration way of stopping you. You're speeding, you're DUI, you get picked up on a theft. Then, if the police officer has reasonable suspicion to think that you're illegal, he can proceed. It simply parrots the federal law that we have on the books today. And I'm not surprised that these policemen were in favor of the law because they need the opportunity to be able to enforce the impact of that massive illegal immigration in Arizona. The press won't tell us about it?
Is there a need in Congress at the federal level for comprehensive immigration reform, or do you think it's a simple matter of simply the government, the federal government, enforcing its existing laws?
Ken, it's the latter. Whenever you hear the word comprehensive immigration reform, that means amnesty. That means rewarding people who have come to this country illegally with some type of a path or roadmap to citizenship. That's what they call immigration reform. All the president has to do, the attorney general has to do, is simply enforce the laws that are on the books. In fact, it started with President Reagan. He signed a bill that gave amnesty to 2 or 3 million people who had come here illegally. And then he said, the flip of this is that we're going to seal the borders. Well, guess what happened? Amnesty was granted. The borders were never sealed, and now the number's up to 11 or 12 million. But because we have a crisis on our hands and have to seek out ways to deal with it, does not mean that we reward people who came to this country illegally with citizenship. We just don't do that. That sends the wrong message.
You're listening to Congressman Don Manzullo. Should you have a question or a comment for the Congressman, our phone number is 874-8255. Hi, Jake. You're on WNTA with the Congressman.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Jake.
Okay, you're talking about this administration and what they're not doing. The past administration didn't do a lot.
You're correct.
Wait a minute. The administration before that didn't do a lot.
That's correct.
And I would like to know what you yourself have done since you've been in office to curtail this.
Well, I voted for money to build the fence. We voted in certain cases to greatly beef up the Border Patrol. Everything what a member of Congress can do is to vote for additional funds to put people on the border, to give them the equipment, and to seal the border. That's what I've done as a member of Congress. But you're right. It goes all the way back to Reagan. There hasn't been one president in there who's taken seriously guarding that border.
You mentioned your discussions with a Border Patrol agent who says that they need more eyes.
They need more eyes.
How understaffed is the Border Patrol in the Southwest?
Well, they're greatly understaffed. When they talk about more eyes, I asked them specifically about the Minutemen?
Yes, of course.
And I said, tell me who these people are. And I mean, I want to know because it's controversial. He said, first of all, they're not armed. He said, second of all, he said they provide additional eyes, and if they see somebody sneaking across the border, they pick up their cell phone and they call us. He said, that helps. He said, those are additional eyes. He said, give me human eyes or electronic eyes. He said, we simply need more help down here because we cannot arrest the people quickly enough as they come across that border. They need more help.
Don, what are your impressions of the Tea Party movement, and are you in any way aligned with that organization?
Well, Tea Party movement finds its roots in people such as James Madison and John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, especially John Adams, who was the ultimate revolutionary. And the Tea Party people are expressing the fervor they gave rise to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. They're saying we need to take a new look at what the scriveners of these documents meant and try to make our government what it is that was intended. That is to have a limited government, to control the amount of taxes that you charge on people, to make sure that our personal liberties are not infringed upon. And I mean, to me, it's not a movement. It's really a restatement as to what you read in the Federalist Papers.
Register Star